Hey yo everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing my Comic Glow for the week. Now, if you notice, Batman issue number 50 is not going to be reviewed today. That's mainly because I already reviewed that in a previous video. Actually, my last video, so if you want to go check out my thoughts and opinions, because I had quite a lot of thoughts and opinions on the issues, so just hop over to the previous video. I'm starting to recover a bit from it. I'm still incredibly upset and salty and not happy about it, but I am wearing my Booster Gold Fan Club t-shirt. That does make me feel a little bit better. And in addition to that, I was able this week, or well, more accurately today, I was at GameStop pre-ordering Octopath Traveler, which comes out in like 6 days or so. And I was able to come across the Val Kilmer Batman Forever DC multiverse figure. Now, I'm really pumped to get this. I was really trying to find this. I didn't know it was a exclusive to GameStop, and apparently the Flash is too, so I'm going to have to get the Flash also. But this figure is beautiful, and say what you want about Batman Forever. I have a lot of nostalgic feeling towards it. I like it. There is a lot of faults to it, but I like the film, and I liked Val Kilmer as Batman, not as much as others. I think there were a few better ones, but he did a serviceable job, and I liked his Batman costume before he got the Sonar costume, which I believe I have the original figure from the Gotham City Guardians 2-pack, right? So this is the... I forget what it's called. It's not the Panther costume. Maybe George Clooney's costume was the Panther costume. I think this was just a traditional costume, right? Very Tim Burton-ish, right? Except for the belt is black, and you have the bat nipples, although they're not on that figure. And then he had the Sonar costume, which is just really the same costume, only no yellow bat symbol. So I'm pretty pumped I was able to find that. I'm going to put this up here temporarily until I can make space to it, because all my movie figures go right here, which you can't see, right? It's actually the next shelf down. So maybe if I tilt that a bit, all the movie figures go there. So I just got to make room for them because there's a lot of figures there. But with that said, it's been quite a crazy week. We had the 4th of July. Happy 4th of July to everyone. It is one of my favorite holidays. It celebrates America. If you don't live in the U.S., I guess it doesn't pertain to you, so, yeah. But I love America. I love this country, and 4th of July is one of my favorite holidays, because you celebrate the independence of this holiday, although the independence was done on a different day, but it doesn't matter, right? So, had a good time then, with the exception of course, Batman fencing. And then I was able to have an additional day off where I've been working on a lot of stuff for my house, which I'll talk about a little bit later once everything comes to fruition. And I've been hitting up a new diet. I don't know if I told you guys this. I've been kind of calorie counting and watching myself, so I'm trying to lose some weight, right? And it's a lot more difficult than it is because I love food. But I'm trying to supplement my breakfast, have a light lunch, and have a light dinner, and I've incorporated tofu into my diet too. So that's been, I think, the most dramatic change, right? I love eating meat, but I think there's a initial benefit to tofu, which one slab of medium firm tofu is like 100 calories. Put a little bit of seasoning on that, something like that, and you have a pretty decent meal without, having all the fat and calories that go with it. But you don't really need to know about my eating habits right now. A couple updates for the channel real quickly before we get into the videos themselves. My wife and I are going to be watching Batman 89 soon. However, her doing the video is teetering. My wife is 8+ months pregnant, so we're expecting our second soon. Super excited for that. His name is going to be Wyatt. Wyatt Robert Shelton. And the Robert is for my master, the man who taught me martial arts, Robert Nolte. So that's what his middle name comes from. Don't know where Y comes from. That's just my wife and I eventually decided on that. Nice name. So depending on how she feels, because being 8 months pregnant with a toddler is tough. So we're going to see how that goes. So but we are going to post up that video once we get the availability to do so. And speaking of Patreon, as always, if you would like to support this channel, one of the big things I'm going to be doing this July is I'm going to be doing my modified, updated Batman timeline video. One of the reasons why that has come into fruition and is going to be on Patreon is because of the support of my patrons, in particular my $5 backers. I give a shout out to them every time on my channel. Connor of OKayFabe, Paul of the Gay Comic Geek, and Sammy Coppola of the Bat Brand. I appreciate it. I pretty much have everything set. Apparently there was a few volumes of Detective Comic I was missing for the Rebirth saga, so I just had to fill in those gaps. But I'm really looking forward to doing that and talking about that and getting into that. And I am going to make a few changes to Patreon on the tier system. I haven't delved into that yet. I'm thinking about mixing things up a little, but that's neither here nor there. I haven't even begun to delve into that. And yeah, nothing else is really going on. Been playing a lot of D&D last night. Started Tomb of Annihilation, so very sandboxy for a D&D campaign, but the group seems to like it, so we're going to keep on pushing forward with it. And yeah. So it's been about 6 minutes of me rambling on and on about things that probably people don't care too much about. So we're going to start with my comic load, and we're going to start where we always start, with a little bit of Batman in our life. That goes to my boy Nightwing, issue number 46. Seeing that we already reviewed Batman issue number 50, Nightwing's going to represent the first pick for Batman, and this is continuing the cyber story arc with the cyber illusionary worlds that Nightwing is dealing with. And I stated this in my last Nightwing review that I like the dialogue and I like the art, but I don't really care for the villain, and it continues here. One thing that really I particularly liked about this issue is that Barbara Gordon shows up, Batgirl, and she kind of helps out Nightwing, and it's really kind of fun to see the two of them work together. Other than the general concept of the villain, everything else of this flows pretty well. The pacing is pretty good, and the dialogue is pretty fun, and there's some pretty decent action scenes. If you're a Nightwing fan, pick it up. If not, then it is what it is. Catwoman issue number 1. So I'm going to review this comic the best I can without have any of my feelings of Batman issue 50 come into play, because in actuality this is not a Tom King book. This is Jolie Jones, who was the artist on Batman, but she's being the artist and writer on this, and it would be unfair for my feelings on that comic to affect this comic. Yes, I'm still kind of pissed at Catwoman as a character, which is silly because it's not really her fault, it's the writer's fault, but I feel as though she did Batman dirty, and she was easily manipulated by Bane, so I had a little hard feelings going into this comic, but I did want to go into this with a clear mind and read it for what it was, because despite all things, I still enjoy Catwoman as a character. The basic plot of this is that there are doppelgangers of Catwoman running around, and she wants to go out there and basically stop them. She dons a new outfit because every change in life requires us to change how we look, right? Maybe a new hair color, or maybe some new jewelry. In this case, a new costume. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. The art is fantastic. I do love the new costume that is done. Basically, it's very reminiscent of her 90s costume, just all black. No hair furling out, of course. And then the arms have slits in the armpit area, which kind of looks kind of cool. It's fashionable, and I don't know if it has any practicality to it, right? Maybe more arm movement. I mean, she is acrobatic, so you would think, maybe. Don't know. But I do like the new Catwoman costume. This is kind of a look of it. Very basic black, but the slits in the armpits kind of give it a nice fashionable look. And I thought it was paced well, and the dialogue was pretty well. If you're looking for an interesting villain in this, you're not going to get it. There's some kind of villain that's being set up. Jones said that she's not pulling any of the previous Catwoman villains, so we're getting new ones. I haven't really clinged on to them yet. In addition to that, if you're also looking for any repercussions or some closure to Batman 50, you're not going to get this. There's just 2 panels of her kind of pissed off, and then she moves on. What just shows that Catwoman kind of moved on from the whole thing a lot quicker than I expected. But in saying that, this was still a really fun issue, and although it does have its faults here and there, I do recommend picking it up. Catwoman is a pretty solid start to the series. Deathstroke, issue number 33, which is continuing the Deathstroke versus Batman storyline, which we are trying to determine if Robin is Deathstroke's son. And let's be honest, he's not. I mean, it's nice to play around with it. I'd be surprised if they actually make him his son. But this is Robin and Deathstroke working together in this comic. And that's the whole entire issue, is them going out, kind of solving cases and getting people out of jams and stuff like that. Well, not really that. More or less just doing Deathstroke's hits and their targets. And Robin is there to kind of get intel on Deathstroke and to kind of, keep an eye on him. And to test him, too, Batman style. So I've been enjoying Batman vs. Deathstroke because it's been more of a chess game than the full-on fight, which is fun, and it's cool to see Robin show up in this. I do think this has been the weakest of the issues from the story arc, but it's still a solid read, and Deathstroke has been one of the consistently best comics from the from Rebirth, and Christopher Priest has just been knocking out of the ballpark time and time again. Captain America issue number 1, or Legacy number 705. As you guys know, I don't dip into Marvel too much, but Captain America is one of my favorite characters, along with Wolverine. I was incredibly annoyed, pissed, hurt, confused, everything with the whole Hydra Captain thing. And at the end of it, I was confused on who was the real Captain, who was not. Like, when the good Captain came back, was he just like a fabrication of what Captain America was? Is the bad Captain still Captain America, the real one? I mean, I don't know if it was ever resolved between this issue and the last Secret Empire issue, or whatever the case may be. Maybe it was. I don't know. I don't care. I'm going into this comic kind of with open eyes and open mind. And it's basically... And I feel bad for this. Nuke, the villain in this, Nuke. The guy gets beat up more times than I think anyone. And Captain America has to take him down with the help of Bucky and Sharon. And at the end of it, Sharon is kind of pulled in to do a mission, and Captain America is curious on why he's not pulled in. And basically, he comes to the conclusion, it's like, well, it's because I'm not trusted. And while this is going on, we got some vampires of sort, I think, in Russia, who looks like to be set up as the main antagonist. Similar to Catwoman, great art, a solid story, and a solid start. However, I don't care for the villain, nor do I have anything to cling on to them. But the action was good, and I was actually pleasantly surprised by this, so really fun stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing what Captain America goes from here. And similar to Thor, it does enough to keep me going for the next few issues. X-Men Gold issue number 31. So now we're dealing with the fallout of the Kitty Pryde Colossus story. That is, if they actually decided to do anything with the fallout of the Kitty Pryde Colossus story. Yes, if you're looking for closure, you're not going to get it here. Colossus just ups and leaves and tells Kitty Pryde, "Hey, I'm going to be going." She's like, "Why? I mean, yeah, we're not getting married, but I still love you." He's like, "Are you kidding me? Like, it makes it hard to be on this team." Deuces, and he leaves. And I think he's gone over to the Astonishing X-Men comic. The second half of this deals with kind of a Days of Future Past, dystopian future, where mutants are segregated into concentration camps and Sentinels blow them up. And that's the gist of this. So, yeah. It was a forgettable issue. And I don't really care about the comic going forward because... A, I know it's getting canceled. B, a lot of the teammates that I care about are all disappearing or just not showing up. And C, the whole Kitty Pryde Colossus thing, I just have no care about it. Green Lantern issue number 50. Basically, the Green Lanterns, Jessica Cruz and Simon Baz goes to investigate and help out one of the lone guardians of the universe who are on the planet. They need to go save him before shit gets real. However, nothing is as it seems, and there is betrayal in the mist. I hate to say this, but I've really lost interest in Green Lanterns for a while now. It looks like Jurgens has jumped onto the comic, and I don't know where it's going to go from here, but I didn't care for this issue. I'm going to say don't pick it up because I had no interest in it. It didn't do anything to surface anything for me. I think Green Lanterns needs either a drastic retooling of the comic, or it needs to be canceled and put on the shelf and then come back at a later time. because it was started off really good. It had some serviceable, really good moments, but it's kind of fallen apart since. Man of Steel issue 6 of 6. This is the final issue, and we get to learn a couple things. We learn what happened to John and Lois, and we also find out how Superman is wearing his underwear costume again. And in addition to that, we get a resolve of him versus Raycor something Darkseid. I'm still trying to learn this guy's name. And the story of how this bad guy got his name is actually pretty good. It has to deal with Bendis's doctor, I believe. However, I just, for the life of me, can't remember the name. A lot of people are pissed off that Lois and John are kind of being shelled for a bit. But how they do it in this is actually pretty good. I don't mind it because it's not a schism between Clark and Lois. They're not getting divorced. No one dies. They're just kind of going off on their own for a bit. And there is a reasonable, although kind of a stretch of the imagination, but purely logical reason to it. And what I particularly like about this is Clark isn't the one that saves the day. Someone else does. And the reason that they give on him wearing the underwear again is fairly decent too. This has been one of the best issues of the series, and I know a lot of people, again, are kind of up in arms about it, but I thought this was serviceable towards the Man of Steel, no pun intended, and I think it does a good job at kind of setting up where Superman's going to be going from here. I enjoyed this issue. I recommend picking it up, and if at all you feel upset about Lois and John being kind of shelled for a bit. Well, one, John is going to be in the Super Sons comics miniseries that's coming out, and two, he's too popular a character to get rid of, and three, Lois Lane and Superman's marriage works out incredibly well, so that's the reason why they brought it back for Rebirth. And finally, at least he's not getting left at the altar. Sorry, that was a Batman 50s kind of jab I just put in there. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Actually, Lois did call off Superman and hers engagement in the 90s at one point, although they eventually did get back together. Anyways, solid issue through and through. Really enjoy it. Finally, ending things off is Justice League issue number 3, and I got the Jim Lee variant cover because A is Jim Lee, and he's my favorite artist, and B is Hawkgirl, and she looks majestic and beautiful and amazing in this. This deals a lot with the ultraviolet violet lanterns, how Sinestro ties into it, how John Stewart ties into it. John Stewart plays an incredibly big role in this, which is good. We got some more FaceTime on it. And Lex and Joker kind of go in there to sabotage what's going on with Superman and Martian Manhunter. I'm not going to reveal too much more of the story because this is a very integral and complex story without being overly complex, but to just go over it all right here, right now with you would either spoil things or just confuse things. In saying that, it was a good story. And the art is good, especially the picture of the Joker behind Hawkgirl. So good. The only problem I have with this is when Scott Snyder writes multiple characters at a time, it feels a little sporadic, right? It feels kind of all over the place. It feels like we're jumping from story to story to story. The Justice League as a comic, it's nice to see the team kind of go off and do separate things, right? But it works best when the team is together. Because when you have Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Aquaman, Flash over here, Batman, Martian Manhunter, Hawkgirl over here, and Superman, it just feels like going back and forth kind of confuses me on where the plot is supposed to be. In saying that, my pick of the week surprisingly goes to Man of Steel issue number 6 I really enjoyed this series. It did have its ups and downs, but it was an incredibly fun series to read. The art in this was fantastic, and I think it does a good job at setting up Superman going forward. So really looking forward to things there. So I'm going to just place this down here. Kind of a crazy week of comics. I'm not going to lie, I didn't get to read everything. Green Arrow, Harley Quinn, Injustice. There's a couple comics I do have to catch up on. But yeah, we're finally in July, so things are starting to ease up at work, so I'm able to get us some more reviews. I actually have 2 reviews put aside here that I'm going to be putting up. X-Men review and Detective Comics. So those are going to be going up. And among a couple other things. So with that said, I'm going to end this video here. This is Andrew saying peace out for now.